Hello, are we live? Hey, Facebook friends and my brave masters, good morning. I wanted to jump in here with another unplugged moment and just check in on you first of all and see how things are going. We've got a lot of new members jumping in, which I think is amazing. And today I'm going to offer you a training on marketing. I know that was one I told you guys recently, and one of your biggest questions was where to start or what to focus on, et cetera. So we're going to talk a little bit about that for a few minutes and hopefully get you started on the right foot for today. And so right now I'm trying to find my video. There we are. And so I just wanted to, number one, start with a conversation about marketing and what to focus on. But first, before we do that, we have to identify what phase of business we're in, because it really depends on where you are in what I call phases of, there's 5 phases that I've identified that really determines what you should be focusing on. So the idea is, and if you're here live, please say hi and give me some love and all that, because I'd love to see you, see your little faces and names and likes and all that good stuff. And if you're watching the replay, great. Comment below and let me know how you're doing. So first, I'm trying to make sure that this is going live. Hold on. It's not popping up on my phone here. There we go. Okay, we're live. Okay, so hey, Arlene. I see you. Let's see. Laugh out loud. Got it. All right. Yes. Keep it quiet. Right. All right. Marketing. So this thing called Evolution of a Brave Master is a tool or system that I use to help entrepreneurs figure out where they are. And basically you're in one of 5 phases. You're in launch mode. You're in that hustle phase. You're in momentum phase, you're in a leverage phase, or you're in leader. And it truly depends on just, I think it's a combination of income as well as kind of what you've accomplished and have you kind of check the boxes. And so I'm not going to go into full detail about what that is, but hopefully you can just kind of get the gist of it. Launch phase is certainly that 0 to $75,000 or so. Again, this is, it's not an exact dollar amount, but what I find is if you're in that beginning stage where you're just trying to get the cash flow handled, then launch mode is where you are. And there are some specific things that you want to put your focus on there. And then if you're moving ahead and you're starting to make some cash flow consistently, and which usually is between $50,000 to $150,000 or so, then you're in hustle mode, and then you move to momentum, which is 100K to 250K or so, and then leverage is 200K to 500K, and leader you're like 400,000 and up, and so beyond multiple 6 figures and maybe possibly 7 figures, right? So launch, hustle, momentum, leverage, leader. So I just went through those pretty quick. If you know, based on what I just mentioned, approximately where you are, please mention or comment below. Like, are you in launch phase? Are you in hustle phase, momentum phase? Most of you are probably in one of those 3. And a lot of you probably are in launch, and it's perfectly okay. We all have to go through it. We all have to start with launch. So that is step 1, is identify where you are so you know what you need to be focusing on. I think the mistake people make is that they want to be in momentum, and they're trying to act like they're in momentum with all of their efforts. And unless you have capital resources that are supporting the investment part of it, then you're just not ready to do the actions that are necessary in momentum, meaning it's just a little premature. It doesn't mean it won't happen. And again, this is where a strategist comes into play, where we really look at your business individually and make sure that we're strategically planning your specific marketing strategies. But what I can say about marketing, and this is what I teach my high-level clients, and we work through in detail, is in launch phase, you want to focus on 3 to 5 marketing strategies simultaneously until they are consistent, frequent, and you're persistent at it, right? I call it filling the buckets. I don't know what else to call it. And so what I mean by that is you want to identify a marketing mix. And so there's all types of marketing, right? There's clearly there's speaking, there's networking, there's social media, there's Facebook Lives like we're doing right now. There's blogging, email marketing, and many more, right? And so there are I believe there's priority to what you might do in the different phases that you're in. And so ultimately, you want to be focused on about 10 of those marketing strategies. But in order to get to 10, you've usually got to have team helping you. And you're usually in that hustle to momentum phase or beyond, right? That second or third phase. And so if you're in launch, and I'm just checking to see if I've got any comments here. Oops, I just made myself noisy. Hold on. Good morning, Emlyn. And so if you're in launch phase and you wanted to pick 3 to 5 marketing strategies, I highly recommend things that are really quick at getting you in relationship with people and creating that dialogue so that you can move them to a conversation, so you can move them to a potential, sales conversation, et cetera. And so what that usually looks like is speaking and networking and certainly being on social media so people can connect with you online as well. However, being just online only, I feel like is not necessarily the fastest path to cash at times. But it is a path and it is a marketing strategy that you want to implement pretty quickly. I'm all for online marketing. However, I believe that when I did it and I watched others do it, where the fastest path to cash came from was just getting with the people, right? And I networked in my business. And then, of course, I built my business and really changed the game when I started speaking. Because what does speaking do? It leverages your time. You get 20, 30 minutes, an hour, or what have you, to share your expertise, be the expert in the room, and then ultimately invite them and make an offer or list build or what have you. So those 3 things, plus if you can add email marketing so that you're really getting in front of your list, I think are the things to focus on initially. And if you really need to pump up the cash flow. If you've got some cash flow going, then I definitely want to pump up the online marketing, the Facebook Live conversations, and have a mix. That's why I call it the marketing mix, so that you have both happening, right? And so what I think people start to experience, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or comment below about this, is that you're trying to do 10 things at once and you don't have the cash flow. So it's very overwhelming. It's very frustrating. And it's very, you almost come from a place of maybe desperation or like, oh my gosh, this has to work and it's got to work quickly. And you're spreading yourself thin, trying to do all these marketing strategies. And some things are very easy to implement and not complicated. But if you are trying to just get in front of ideal clients, I always find that networking and speaking seem to help the quickest. And that's just from my experience, my clients' experiences, and that's what I recommend. And then I clearly believe in making sure that I'm email marketing, so I'm keeping my brand and my name and top of mind in front of people. And you can do that twice a month. It doesn't need to be weekly. It doesn't mean certainly every day, none of that. It could be twice a month if you wanted to. And then the other thing is, certainly being active on social media, and you can post once a day and just get visible. Now, there are advanced strategies to social media clearly, and other things that you can do to pump that up. But bottom line is, if you don't have cash coming in, you can't really hire the team. You can't really, get all of the details taken care of. So, yeah, Dakisha, the launch has taken everything out of you. I get that. Good morning. And so tell me more about that, actually. And tell me how long you've been in business. I'm curious, actually, as far as launch mode, right? I totally get that. And launch for me is a phase of business. It's not an activity like where you're launching a product or you're launching a program or something like that, just to make sure, because I don't know if you caught that part. So anyway, so just launch for me is a phase of business. It's that startup where you're, making $0 to $75,000 or so in your business. I mean, that's a kind of a moving target. And so that's what I recommend. Marketing is about identifying where you are. Stop trying to do things that you see everybody else doing, but they're making $1 million, right? So we got to start with the basics. We got to get clients. We got to get the cash flow handled. We've got to really start with the basics of business, and that is marketing and sales, and getting the transactions handled and bringing clients on board and all of that. And when marketing is persistent, consistent, and frequent, right? You can be consistent once a year, and that's not necessarily going to be enough, right? So if you are consistent and you have the frequency figured out, then that's what's going to make the difference. And you got to stick to it. You've got to make it a habit. And that's what's going to start to create the traction in your business, so that you can move to the next level. And then when you move to the next level and you've got your marketing mix really on autopilot, or you've got the machine working at the rate that you want it to work, then you can start to add other strategies that make sense for your business model. So it depends on obviously some of those specifics as well. So let's see. We are launching a lead gen that leads to a product, but it ties to building the client base, speaking, et cetera, to grow the business. Yeah, got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's good clarity there. Leads to a product. Yeah, so launching the product is a different, definition of launch that I'm using. And so, so obviously that's part of, building the business. So yeah, thank you for that clarity, Takesha. And I'm on plan to multiple six, so I'm open. Very cool. Yeah. So if you're on track for that multiple six figures, you may be in more of a momentum phase, or even leverage. So hopefully that means you've got team and you're starting to build that out. It'd be interesting to learn more. So hopefully this is helping. Again, I wanted to just address that conversation about marketing. What do I do? Where do I start? And I think it does depend on the phase of business you're in. And then it depends on your fastest path strategies. I always want to make sure that cash flow is handled versus just, getting visible. Visibility is a must. However, is it returning? Is there a return on investment of that time and energy? So those are the type of things that you want to consider and look for in up-leveling your results. So if you're farther along, in the momentum phase, then there's other things that you've got to do. You might be reevaluating pricing and packaging and your programs that you're offering so that you can add even more value. And you're focused on making sure that your operations is handled and you're not doing everything, right? Wearing every single hat in your business. And you're moving into that leverage stage where it's really focused in on systems and structure and infrastructure of your business and how to scale it. And so hopefully that is where you are if you are in momentum. Does anybody in here, I don't know, I don't see anybody mentioning hustle. Hustle phase is that $50,000 to $150,000 range. And you're starting to refine your message. You're starting to refine your services because you've got some clients happening. You also want to start adding some marketing strategies because you've handled the first 5 and they're consistent and frequent. And then you're starting to hire some team and all of that. So I'm just curious if that resonates with anyone. So again, figure out your phase, then figure out what you focus on and stay focused on that until you are actually at the next level or next phase of business. Because if you try to jump phases, you'll either burn out or overwhelm yourself, or you'll lose traction, and sometimes you slide straight back into launch. I've seen that happen where you've got I had a couple a client one time, they hit that almost 6-figure mark, and then they fell back off of the activities and the frequency and the consistency, and somewhat slid back into a lower phase, if you want to call it, of business. So it happens, and it's not, you can completely recover, but we got to get real about it. We have to understand what we stopped doing that was working, and then return to those exercises, those habits of marketing and sales. And if we're not having enough sales conversations, then don't expect sales, right? It's that simple. So hopefully this has helped. I'd love to hear your input as to what phase you're in. So especially if you're replaying this, what phase are you in of the evolution of a Brave Master, right? Launch, hustle, momentum, leverage, or leader. And then what's your biggest challenge around marketing and getting kind of rising to the next phase or level in your business? And certainly I can, do the best to comment or give you some direction on that. So hopefully this has been a kind of a pep talk for you, and is available to you to really get you focused today on what you need to be doing versus getting distracted by all the things that are possible. There's a lot of options out there. I get it. And not everybody should be doing them right now, right? We've got to stay focused on the priorities. And if you've got capital reserves and you've got money in the bank, and you want to invest a lot of money in team up front, great. But I certainly believe a lot of us are kind of organically building our business, and it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily invest before you have the cash flow. I'm not saying that. However, you've got to be willing to stay focused and really hyper focused on the things that you're supposed to be doing in that phase, so that you can get to the next level. So that's my recommendation. All right. So let me know how this has helped you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next training. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.